This is 6.7, Solving Inequalities by Multiplication and Division. This is part 2. We're going to be working with multiplying by negatives and dividing by negatives. All right, here's our interesting little twist on inequalities when you are solving them. So when you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by a negative, so we're talking negatives here, when you multiply or divide by a negative on an inequality, the inequality symbol must be reversed in order for it to be true. So we have to change our signs around, okay? So if I have 2 is less than 4, which is true, and I multiply both sides by a -3, okay? So 2 times the -3 is -6. In order to keep this true, 4 times the -3 is -12. To keep this sentence true, -6 is greater than -12. So that means we have to reverse our sign. See how this has changed from less than to greater than. Now this is true, -6 is greater than 12. Let's go on to this one, which is division, okay? So I have 6 is greater than 4. That's a true statement. If I divide by a -2, I get -3. If I divide 4 by a -2, I get -2. So in this case, -3 is less than -2. So that means I have to flip the sign when I'm dividing by a -2. So you flip the sign when you are multiplying by a negative, and you flip the sign when you are dividing by a negative. So let's get started and look at our problem. So I have -2g is less than 10. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I find my variable, it's g, and then I have to see what's happening to it. It's being multiplied by a -2. So that means I have to use the inverse, which is divide by a -2 and divide by a -2. This would be a giant 1. So -2 divided by a -2 is 1. So I have g left over here. Now I have 10 divided by a -2. I'm dividing by a -2. So if I divide by a negative, right, it's going to be a -5, but I have to flip the sign. This is very important. So now instead of less than, it will be greater than. So I have g is greater than -5. Let's go ahead and check that. What's a number greater than -5? Let's say 0. So 0 is greater than -5. Let's check this number inside here. So I have -2g is less than 10. If I put a 0 in here, -2 times 0 is less than 10. It's -2 times 0 is 0. 0 is less than 10. Is that a true statement? Yes, it is. So we're correct. Let's go. All right, here is the next one. So Sol k divided by -2 is less than 9. So I'm going to rewrite my inequality. And let's go ahead and find my variable, which is k. What's happening to it? I'm dividing it by -2. So I'm going to do the opposite and multiply by -2. Since I'm multiplying by -2, I'm going to have to change my sign. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there so I don't forget. Okay? My 2's, -2 divided by -2, that is a +1, so I'm left with k is greater than, and then 9 times -2 is -18. So k is greater than -18, so what's the number that would work? 0, -2, 10, a million, right? So let's go ahead and put in, let's say 10, okay? So 10 is greater than -18. That's true here. Let's see if it's true in our inequality statement. So instead of k, we're going to put 10. 10 divided by a -2 is -5. Is -5 less than 9? Yes. So this is true. So let's go ahead and look at this one. X divided by -3 is less than or equal to 4. Okay, I see my variable is being divided by a -3, so I'm going to multiply by a -3. Now, since we are multiplying by a -3, I need to switch my signs. Okay? Now, you only switch your signs if it's negative. Okay. All right. So this is 1. So I have x is greater than negative 12, or equal to, sorry. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. So a number that's greater than negative 12, we can put in whatever number. I like to maybe do something that's divisible by 3. So is 3, let's go ahead and do 3. 3 is greater than or equal to negative 12, correct? Okay, so let's see if it's correct in our inequality. So I have x over negative 3 is less than or equal to 4. So instead of x, I'm going to put a positive 3. So I have negative 1 is less than or equal to 4, and that is true. All right, let's go on to our next one. Okay, with this one we are going to be graphing. So I have negative 3n is less than or equal to negative 22. Ms. Sinclair was mean on this one, right? All right, so I have a negative 3n. My pen dropped. All right, I'm multiplying by a negative 3, so I'm going to divide by a negative 3 on both sides. This would be a 1, so I have n is, I almost forgot to switch it, is greater than or equal to, we switched it because we're dividing by a negative. This would be a positive. So how many times does 3 go into 22? 7 times. So 7 times 3 is 21. You need 1 more, so it's 7 1/3. So n is greater than or equal to 7 1/3. So I'm going to plug in, let's say 8, okay? So I'm going to just try 8 because 8 is greater than 7 1/3. So to check it, it would be negative 3 times 8 is less than or equal to negative 22. So this would be negative 24 is less than or equal to negative 22, which is true. So now I have to graph this, okay? So this is a closed circle. Because of this line here, it means equal to, so it includes it. So I need 7 1/3. Here's 7. I'm going to say 1/3 is about right there, so I color it in. And it says n is greater than or equal to 7 1/3. So that would be, it includes 8, which we said. So it includes everything to the right. Here is our word problem. Lisa earns $8 per hour working at the zoo. Write and solve an inequality that can be used to find how many hours she must work in a week to earn at least. So she wants to earn more than $120, okay? Or equal to it, so it can be 120. So interpret the solution. Let x represent the number of hours. So if she works has $8 per hour. So if she works 1 hour, she would get $8. 2 hours, she would get 16, and so on and so forth. So that means it's 8 times, and we said x, which is the number of hours, okay? And she has to get to 120. Does she want more than it or less than 120? She wants more, so it'd be greater than. Can she have it equal to? Yes, she can, so it could be equal to it. So she wants whatever she makes to be greater than 120. So let's go ahead and solve this. So I see that's being multiplied, so I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. So I get x is greater than or equal to, and then 120 divided by 8. I'm going to have to do this off to the side. So 8 goes into 12 one time. And then you bring down the 0, so you get 40, so it'd be 15, okay? So x has to be greater than or equal to 15. And what does this mean? Hours. So she has to work 15 hours or more. Okay? And that is the end of part 1 for multiplying and dividing inequalities. Hope you all are doing well. Miss ya.